Hi everyone, and welcome to the new office of Bones Realty Group here at Battery, Atlanta. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different than the typical walkthrough video I put out the day before auction, and that's because there weren't many homes that were worth showing y'all before going to auction that fit our criteria. So instead, we're going to take a more instructional approach. You'll see if you're looking down at the length, this is a 40+ minute video, so if you like this style and you actually learn something, let me know. Just go ahead and put it down below in the comments. And then some big news before we start anything. I officially became a realtor through Keller Williams Peachtree Road. So I've been doing the renovation, flip, long-term, short-term rental thing for a long time, and I finally decided, you know what? It makes sense to go ahead and become a realtor. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home or know anybody, I would really appreciate you giving me the first thought, and all my contact information is below. So without further ado, here's our instructional on how to comp out foreclosure flip properties. Today what I'm going to do, and I actually think that this might end up being a more popular video, I'm going to show you how we comp out properties, because since we don't have a lot of houses to look at specifically, I really want to take a deep dive into this one particular property we found in Marietta. It's 236 Wilderness Way. And the reason that we're not doing a deeper dive here into actually going to auction is because while we were doing the title search, we realized that two individuals right now were going back and forth over who had ownership of the home. Even though we think that through the foreclosure process, whoever purchased the home on the auction steps, we don't have 100% certainty of that. And we're not sure if we would have to go to court for something like that. And in a time like this, with the uncertainty that revolves around the market at this point, we weren't willing to take that risk. So instead, what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how a realtor, how an investor comps out a home, but specifically when we're looking at foreclosures. Typically, I'll show you guys a video of me walking around the home. For this particular home, there wasn't a whole lot you could see from the outside. The biggest part that'll be important for looking at these comps is we're able to see some of the condition of the inside of the home. So I was able to see, I saw into the living room and I saw into the basement, and it didn't look like there were any holes in the walls. It didn't look like there was any signs of distress, more than just somebody moving out. So somebody had a basic level of respect for the home, and it also was on a VA loan. Now typically we don't see those hitting the foreclosure market right now. I think this court case had something to do with it. However, those are golden in a market like this because you know a VA loan is in first position. With that all in mind, I'm going to dive into this comp and let you know what exactly we look for. So the two most important things when looking at comps, and everything is important, but the two biggest things people tend to take a look at are, number one, bedrooms and bathrooms. So if one house has 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms that you're trying to sell, you want to look for another home that has 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. And if you can't find an exact match there, you want to look at square footage. But what I will say is those two things are in priority order in my experience. I would say that a home would have a closer comp if two houses were the exact same. They say they had 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. If one of those homes had 500 or 600 square foot extra, I would still say that you should favor the home with the same number of bedrooms and baths rather than favoring a home, say, that had 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms but had a similar square footage. It's really about how the homeowners are using the space, not so much that the space exists, because some of the least valuable rooms in a house in terms of comp are dens or living room, because typically people won't look around and be like, oh, look how big this is. Although it does happen, when you're looking, really you're looking for bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage. And that's all assuming that you're within 10 to 20% range of year. So you don't really want to comp a 2000 house against a 1950s house. But in the example we're looking at here, we have a home that was built in 1988, and we're going to compare that home to a house that was built in 1984. So that's close enough to be a similar comp. So I'm going to show you a picture of this comp we're looking at. So here's the outside of the home. I was getting ready to purchase. Opening bid for this home, I want to say, and I'm looking at the numbers right now, you'll have to excuse me for looking off screen. Opening bid here, no, nice, I didn't put it. Opening bid here, I think was about 172, and the comp we're looking at had a resale of $358,000, and that was back in November of 2020. So for us, we thought, you know what, this is a close enough comp. If you look on this Reno estimate, we see the square footage favors the house we're going to buy by nearly 700 square feet. I did note, if you see the asterisk, that Zillow had it listed different than Realtor.com, but after walking the footprint of the house, I think that the 3,274 square feet was a closer number than the 1,700 listed on Realtor.com. And you'll find discrepancies like that in certain places, but you just want to look around and get the best information possible. So because I couldn't find a definite answer online, when I walked the property, I was able to tell, all right, this is a 3,000 plus square foot house. From there, we look at beds and bathrooms. So our subject property had 4 beds, which is more because obviously we have 700 more square feet to do with. But the baths, we even had 1 additional bath. So we actually had a bigger house to work with, and ours would have been built in 1988, whereas the one we're comping against was built in 1984. So with that in mind, there is a significant chunk of equity to be made in the home. And I'll tell you right now, and we'll go through all this, when we were comping out our property, we factored in, since November of 2020, and right now we're in April of 2021, the market has only continued to get hotter and hotter, and it's hitting an all-time high every month. That's the trajectory we're on. So because of that, we knew that our house would sell for more than $358,000, but also that 700 additional square feet, the additional bedroom, the additional bathroom. When we ran our numbers, we comped it out conservatively at $380,000 ARV. ARV stands for after repair value. So when you think ARV, think of retail value or resale value. So when it hits the market, that's what we expect. So conservatively, we're putting it at $380,000, and my expectation as a realtor was that there would have been a bidding war at that price, and it most likely would have scraped $400,000, if not come very close to that. But let me go ahead and show you how we comp this home. So when comping homes, you need to consider, okay, is the comp for this home based on the lot and location it's on, or is it based on the condition of the house? More often than not, it's going to be based on the condition of the house. The house we're looking at right here that I drove by was in this condition when I found it. This picture is pretty accurate for what it looks like when I drove up on it. And, you know, it looks like a solid house. The bones are good, so the rest don't matter, right? My buddy Eric always loves to tease me about that. But anyways, the bones of this house were good, just based on looking at it. So it looked like we had a good structure and foundation to work with. When I walked the home, I didn't notice any significant cracks in the foundation, which tells me there shouldn't be any foundation issues with the home. The biggest thing I found was some of this wood paneling was screwed up in a couple different places. This chimney from the picture, you can see is a little bit discolored towards the top. It was a little bit worse when you saw it in person. But anyways, this is the base of what we're working with. So you can see the condition here. I would put the condition to be a good, maybe a little bit lower than that. But the house that we were comping against that sold for the high 380s, that just sold, let me go ahead and refresh this page. You can tell a flipper had their hands on it. And when it uploads, see, beautiful house, pops the white and black modern look, very popular right now. You've noticed when you have the steps walking up, you have those metal vertical bars. That did a whole lot to update it, but judging by this picture, there are a couple things that we took. Number one, obviously you need a paint job. That's a very striking thing. In this particular neighborhood, there weren't a lot of flips. There were a couple, but you could tell the flips because they stood out, and you had that, what do you call that, sidewalk? Whatever it is, the first impression of the home, it jumped out at you. You could tell this home was different from the rest in a good way. Something else, though, looking at the outside, if you're observant, which I'm sure you are if you're watching this, on the left-hand side of this, well, let me see. Yeah, on the left-hand side of this, you see it has similar windows, those long, long windows that we also see here on our property. However, something that's different is you don't see those windows here. You see 2 windows down here. These are what are known as single windows. So these windows were standard in terms of their width and height. But if you look over, part of what they did to make this home look more modern, and I did not see the home before it was flipped, so if you guys want to dig on the internet and prove me wrong, feel free to leave it in the comments. I would love to take a look. But if you look, these are double windows. And when I say double, I don't mean double paned, although these probably are double paned windows. I would almost guarantee that. But the width of them, double width, that's very attractive, brings in tons of natural light, and is part of what made such great pictures for this home. Now, if we were looking at this comp and it had the same windows as the house we were looking at, we wouldn't touch them. But because the condition of this home not only was updated, but updated very well with high-end finishes, that is how we would have had to do our home. So if we saw this home and they hadn't changed out the railing, if they hadn't put in brand new windows, or if they hadn't painted, we wouldn't do that, because being the nicest house on the street doesn't give you much additional value. And these two homes happen to be on the same street. So next, I'm going to show you the kitchen. I'm going to tell you exactly what we thought it would take to fix it. Here's the kitchen of the house we're looking at. And I'm going to compare it for you to the kitchen in our subject property. And you can see here they did a beautiful job, tons of natural light, great pictures, huge chimney, which our comp property had. They also had the split level. I think this is a little bit odd, but you see it a lot in 80s architecture. This is what their kitchen looked like. So, world of difference, right, between their kitchen and our kitchen. Ours is very cramped, very outdated. The one thing this kitchen had going for it is it did have the nice wood floors, which if we were to rip those out, I would recommend always putting tile in any room that you have water flowing at any time, right? So if you think laundry room, bathroom, kitchen, you always want to do that. But in this case, if you look at our comp, they also had the wood. Now this could be wood tile, but it doesn't seem, I haven't been inside this house. It doesn't look like that. So the wood would be okay, but we did have stainless steel appliances. And when I walked around the home, this was one of the rooms I could see into. So that's a big bonus for us. But what's not a bonus is you couldn't have just repainted the cabinets and the property we were looking at to look like this. So they did a couple things here. They added all new hardware. They have a granite countertop. They have floating shelves. They have subway tile backsplash. They did a really good job here. The one thing I thought was odd for how good of a job they did flipping this home, if you look towards the top, they kept the popcorn ceiling. And the popcorn ceiling, basically what that was, you've probably seen it in maybe your parents' or grandparents' house. It was a popular way to finish ceilings. And if you ever worked with drywall, you understand why it was popular. But if you haven't worked with drywall, basically if your drywall isn't perfect, you can see the lines of where different boards are touching one another. But what was cool about popcorn walls and why they became popular with builders is because you could just splotch different areas. And so to the naked eye, you can't notice, because it's all patterned, you can't notice where one board stops and the other begins. That's desirable. But in 2021, you don't see popcorn ceilings often. So it was an odd choice that they kept that, but they got significant amount of money, so I'm not one to judge here. The only thing that I would have done different outside of the popcorn ceilings is I really don't like these lights. They really date any property you're looking at. The reason that they probably use that, if this project was my flip, I would have put in probably 6 4-inch LED recessed lights. I think these, and builders kind of call, anyways, they're outdated. These are outdated. A lot of people call them titty lights because they kind of look like ceiling boobs. But they probably kept it in because adding recessed lighting, specifically if you were to add 6 new recessed lights, that would be a little bit more expensive. So I think they cut a corner when it came to lighting here, but overall did a fantastic job. So looking back at our property, we're working with this very, very cramped space. So what are we going to do here? You have the kitchen, and then you have a gap, which is this living room door leading into the kitchen. And then on this side right here, you had some kind of writing desk that was built in. Anyways, very strange configuration. So in our renovation plans, we were going to blow out the wall that would have been over here, and we were going to open it up, the typical Joanna games. We're going to do open concept. We don't do that because Joanna does it. We do it because that's what people like. That's part of the reason these guys got so much money on their home. So we would have torn out all these cabinets, put out in all new cabinets, repainted the wall, backsplash. We would have put in new lighting, granite countertops, a really nice sink fixture with a farmhouse sink. And all in all, we predicted that that would cost us anywhere between 20 to 25 grand, and that sounds like a lot. But when you have a starting point of 172,000, which was the opening bid price, the money you spend in the kitchens and the bathrooms are what's going to get you the most return for your dollar. And most of you already know that, but just know if you're looking to renovate your home, if you have to choose between a hallway or a living room or a laundry room and a kitchen or bathroom, go with the kitchen and bathroom anytime. So the rule of thumb is if there's tile in any room, barring the laundry room, if there's tile in any room, or if there's water running in any room, that's where you want to spend the majority of your money, because those are the places people are going to go every day, multiple times a day. So we had about 20 to 25 grand slated to do this. And something else I think is important here, a lot of people have their own personal pizzazz, their own personal style. Maybe someone thinks, oh man, that red color looks fantastic. And I know for certain the person who painted that thought this is what's really going to look nice. But when you're selling a home, you want to go for general appeal. You want to go for well-lit rooms. So when you look at this comp, they didn't do anything too out of the ordinary. As a matter of fact, if you typed in on Pinterest, I guarantee you, subway tile kitchen, you would have pages and pages of results. And so they did exactly that. They didn't take any risks, and that shows me that they were an intelligent investor. A lot of first-time investors will go in and say, oh, this will look nice, that will look nice, let's try bringing this in all together. But actually what helps sell a home is general appeal. So unless you're Joanna Gaines, please, for your flips, do not try to do your own style and don't take any chances. You are bringing in a risk, and that risk is just one of uncertainty, because you don't know if everybody has the same taste as you. Something might look great to you, and this came up as a matter of fact. I'm working with selling my best buddy's home, and they just had new recessed lighting put in that I recommended. And with these LED lights, there are two settings. There's a bright setting and there's a warm setting. Now, if you're living in a house, you probably want warm light. But if you're trying to sell a house, you want bright LED lights that light up the whole room. So there's a real difference between general appeal and personal appeal. And when you're trying to get top dollar for a flip, you want to go personal appeal. So let's take a look at these bathrooms. I'm going to show you what we were planning on doing with them. I'll just tell you, I actually loved this living room because of the natural light. You know, in the first opening pictures, you saw those, I think it's 6 massive windows. But the other thing you have here is you have these popcorn ceilings, which would easily be able to scrape. I really love these exposed beams. Those were big when this house was built in 1988, but they're also huge now, and you see those coming back. The other feature I really liked about this home, they had 25-foot ceilings and a massive, beautiful natural stone fireplace, and you don't always get those in homes. You see this as a trend in a lot of the new homes being built. So I actually really liked the white and the natural wood because that really goes with the modern look, which is how we would have tried to decorate, a mix between modern and farmhouse, because that's what people seem to be trending towards. So when I'm talking modern, I'm talking about, you see this railing here? So this was a split level, meaning there's an upstairs and there's a main living level. As soon as you walked in this house, there was a set of stairs. Kind of weird, not what I would prefer, but changing these out for metal bars would have given more of that modern feel. And you see that they had done this. That actually looks like it was wood, but on the outside, you can see these are metal bars. So they didn't carry that throughout the house, which is something that I would have done. You see, right there, that dates a house right away. So anything that dates a house quickly, and you can just tell by your eye, you might not be able to write down, oh, this style looks great, this doesn't. But when your eye sees it, you're like, hey, listen, that's dated. Something else dated you see in this picture, you catch a glimpse of their lighting fixture here. In the 80s when this was made, that was a perfectly normal fixture to have. That was a nice statement piece. And let's see if we can pull up what a statement piece would look like now in terms of lighting. Oh, this is a better way to look. While we're looking, it seems like they left the ceiling fan here. I really don't like that. I think that that could have been a more modern ceiling fan, but Anyways, this is not supposed to be a critique of the house, although it kind of sounds like it's turning into one. Surely they have a statement. There we go. See this? This is a modern statement piece light fixture. So it's an evolution of this. We would have put something similar right when you walk in to catch your eye. Here's the bedroom. There wasn't a lot we would have done here. We would have scraped the ceilings. We would have put in a more modern fan. Obviously, a big part in any renovation budget is called trash out or junk out, and that's when you yourself, or you can hire a crew, you literally just go in and take everything from the previous owner and get it out of the home. You don't want any remnants of the previous owners in the house, typically. There are certain things like, say you had to tear down a barn in the backyard of a home, you might want to save some of those planks because they have history that's associated with the home, and you could make a statement wall with something like that. But other than an architectural feature like that, you wouldn't want to keep any remnants of the previous owners. Perfect. This is what I was looking for. This is the condition of the bathrooms that we're working with. Now I'm going to show you what we're going to compare that against. See, just touches of modern all over. A nice sliding door there with natural wood. Boom. Night and day difference. Totally different bathrooms. And it might not be fair because actually I do think this is a master bathroom. I wasn't certain because I wasn't able to walk this home. But now that I'm looking at this with you, I think this is the master bathroom. In the mirror here, you see the master closet. You also get a glimpse of a separate room for the toilet. And then over here to the left is a jacuzzi style tub. So when you're looking at this, what's it going to take to bring it from this, boom, to that? This is an area that a bunch of different investors or flippers will probably debate on whether or not you save this vanity or not. It would ultimately depend on the condition you find it in. If that is in fact real stone or some sort of marble, that would give an argument to keep it. But in 2021, you really want something more modern. So in my opinion, based on what I was able to see in the home, we would have put something like this in. So a brand new vanity. Then you see mirrors. Mirrors are a huge deal. This is a huge trend in 2021. These frameless mirrors. You don't see this as often in new builds, although it happens. This is kind of a timeless thing because it's functional, but from a design standpoint, it really doesn't add much to the room. So what I would have done, I would have taken out this full wall mirror. I would have taken out this vanity. If there was enough space there, which there's no way to know right here, if there was enough space in your master bathroom, you always want to have a dual vanity if possible. I would have added a very similar looking mirror, and if the budget were to allow, I would have put a nice backsplash up the back. Of course we would have done painting, of course we would have taken things like this out, but it's just very small touches like that that make a huge difference in the home, because the bathroom somewhere you're going to be spending a lot of time. But I'm going to show you the area where I was really excited to do a renovation of the bathroom. This is their jacuzzi tub, which you can see a little bit right here. Another thing, we talked about things that jump out right away the day at home. One of those things, or a couple of those things we see in this picture, I'll pause for a second to see if you can guess them. But you can probably look at this picture and say, you know what, something's off about this. And you would be right if you said that. You see this shape of tile? It looks like, and this picture isn't great, but these are a square tile. And you really don't see a lot of that in 2020 new builds. You see a whole lot of, so if I'm just going to pull from here, I think the next picture, if I'm not mistaken, is their walk-in shower. You don't see any square tile. You see rectangles, but you don't see any square tile. You see a lot of Carrara, which is this kind of marble-looking tile in bathrooms, and you see this hexagon style, especially. They have, it looks like a mixed concrete and tile, which is, they did a beautiful job. I would have done a different shower head here, but they did a fantastic job overall with this walk-in shower. What I would have done in this room, with the trash out, I would have busted up all the tile, taken out that bathtub, and I would have tried to put a freestanding or a clawfoot, if I was able to find a great deal on one, bathtub here, and I would have absolutely loved to tile the floor all the way up to that window, or even halfway up. I think that would really look nice and give it a modern feel. Also, we would take away those blinds there. I'd either add one that was cloth that you could pull down, or when you're selling a home, you don't always need blinds because you really want to see as much natural light as possible. So that was a big area for improvement. The other thing that you might have caught if you were looking for things that date a home, of course this wood does date a home, but it is coming back in certain areas of the country, and I think it's acceptable, especially with more of that modern boho look. But if you look at the hardware on this bathtub, so you don't see, these are now considered builder grade. And what builder grade is think of it as just the absolute lowest standard for what you're going to put in a house. And that was versus these high-end finishes that we see in our comp, which is what we need to bring it up to. So there weren't pictures of every bathroom, but I will show you what our budget looked like. Here's what we budgeted for. And this is all stuff: trash out, scrape ceilings, put in new lighting, electrical outlets, door hardware, interior paint, flooring, ceiling fans, water heater, wallpaper removal, drywall repair and railing. Those were things we're going to do on the whole home. That would have cost around 25 grand to do it everywhere, but specific to the bathrooms, we budgeted for new vanities. So in the master, you'll see we looked for a dual vanity. I thought I could find something like that for $800 at a liquidation store. And we looked at the guest bathrooms. You don't want to overspend on guest bathrooms. If you have to choose between a master and guest, you always want to overspend on the master. I thought that I could get, depending on how the guest bathrooms look, probably $400 each. And again, you can't get that at retail, but if you're a savvy shopper, you can find that. The master tub, we budgeted about $2,300 for, because here we would have a brand new tub, and you want to do something quality. Anything people will sit in or touch or feel, including doorknobs. Actually, especially doorknobs, but also things like a bathtub. You want to be sure that those are premium quality. You don't want somebody to come up and touch it and go, hey, that's cheap plastic. If you could get ceramic or glass, I really don't know everything bathtubs are made out of, but I know when I touch one what's quality and what isn't. So some extra plumbing might have been involved with that. That's why you see this at $2,300. I always like to try to add a walk-in shower if you can. That's a huge trend. You saw that in the comp home. This right here, this beautiful walk-in shower. I wanted something like that, so we budgeted for that. And again, I don't know if there was an area for that. And we might have even taken out that window or changed that window, and instead of putting in that master tub, we might have put a walk-in shower. And the walk-in shower actually may have been more expensive just because of the extent of the tile work. It's a little bit different when you're doing showers, especially with the pan, if you're going to have that poured. Instead of buying, you can buy them plastic that you just insert. But I work with a guy who does fantastic cement with hand. Plus, you would have had additional plumbing costs, so that would have been more expensive here, actually, than the master tub. And another quick tip, whenever you're selling your home, and most of you, again, know this, but I'm saying this for the people who don't know, you always need to have a tub in the home. Why? Well, if you're going to have your home available for a new family, you don't want to wash your kids in a shower. You can wash your newborn in the sink for a limited amount of time, but you always want a bathtub because you need that for children. And you don't want to, I'm thinking of a word, it's slipping me, but basically you don't want to separate the new families or the young couple from who you're trying to sell for. Like we talked about earlier, you want the broadest appeal possible. New mirrors, like we talked about, so we wanted 2 in the master, 1 of each of the guests. We wanted new sink hardware. That's again something we like to overspend on because you can touch it. Shower hardware, it's important. Reglazing the showers. So reglazing, and we've talked about this in previous videos, but reglazing just means somebody comes in and they're able to resurface, and basically it's spraying on new ceramic onto an old, worn out bathtub or shower. You can also do it for countertops. I wouldn't advise it, but I mean you could do it for a toilet. Basically what that allows you to do is, instead of having to take out the entire shower and replace it, you get that brand new look, but you get it for at least half the cost, if not less. Actually significantly less. I would say, well, we budgeted for about $400 per, whereas you would spend that or more just buying a brand new shower. So tile floors, The master, we want to spend a little bit more just because of the footprint. You imagine you need more tile. And then lighting fixtures. Lighting fixtures are important. We want 2 in the master because, again, remember, we're going to do dual sinks and then 1 for either of the guest bathrooms. You see they did a good job of that here. Not a fan of the silver, although you do see it coming back in certain areas. But they have 2 lights here. Again, I would have done recessed lighting here. I think that they cut some cost here, but that's okay. Let's see. So just very basic. Most of the rooms, the hardwoods looked in good condition, and when I walked the home, from what I could see, they looked good. A good mop and shine would look nice, but if you had to resurface them, you could. Those all look like they weren't linoleum; they were natural wood. So you saw wallpaper removal. That was on in our budget as well. A couple of the rooms, they have a den where they also did this. Right here, this is I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. I had it in a home, which is the only reason why I know this was a style. This is called a chair rail, and you found chair rails first in restaurants, and the reason for that is when people's chairs butt up against a wall, you might damage, dent, put a hole in the drywall, but this chair railing would allow your chair to hit that first. Why people use it in random rooms like this, I'm not sure. Another thing that didn't make the budget, but I would have liked to have done, budget permitting, not a priority, but budget permitting, with these drop ceilings, there are a couple options now that you can put, I want to say it's plastic or at least PVC. You can change those out, and on the same railings, you can replace something that looks very similar to tongue and groove wood, which is just the overlapping wood. Think like a shiplap look, but typically it's a little skinnier. That looks a little bit more nice to me. When I look at these drop ceilings, they kind of look like cubicles. They remind me of an office or a bullpen because I'm a sales guy. But they're quick and easy to put up, kind of like the popcorn ceiling. You can see why they would be popular with builders. But then if you look at this light, that's one of those lights you turn on, you hear the bzzz. We don't want that. So we would put in recessed lighting here as well. Even if we couldn't replace these drop ceiling tiles, we would put recessed lighting in there. Let's see. So again, the carpet. Carpet's a big one. You don't want to keep the carpet from the previous owner, period. Don't do it. I've seen one house in the last 3 months, I've seen one house where I thought, okay, those carpets could just use a steam. It's not often you'll find that. So rule of thumb, you want to replace carpets. This would be a situation like that. So in this, something that was difficult though in having to comp this house is this den or office. Well, I'm not really sure what this room was. This had carpet. We saw that there was a carpet runner on some of the stairs, so you'd want to replace that as well. And then I also estimated there might have been one other room that had the carpet similar to this wallpaper. When you're just not sure, it's better that you have a more conservative budget. So you have a very similar setup in the second guest bathroom. So sink, toilet, shower. You might be able to save these if that's real stone, but you don't go in guessing that it is if you're uncertain. But I mean, I'm going to show you even the quality. If they have pictures of their guest bathrooms, they're still nice, but they don't have the same extravagant finishes you see in the master. Let's see. So the guest bathroom, very similar, but this is a much lesser vanity than what you saw. This is a step above builder grade, not so much because of the materials, but because you see it's nicely colored. Another thing you see is storage here. So in ultimate builder grade, you'll just have just the 2 swinging doors with no shelving. It's important, and I promise you, the women in the crowd will notice, or the design conscious men out there will notice if you just have the 2 swinging doors and no shelving for storage. In a hot market like this, that doesn't really matter, but eventually the market will slow down, and it's details like this that separate the good from the great. So new toilets, that's something that we'd have to put in as well. You always want to freshly steam and vacuum your carpets before you sell them. Look at all this natural light. We talked about this in the beginning. Coming back to this, it's just fantastic. I bet you if these lights were off, you could still see the room perfectly. So we would have wanted to add these in because I think that's a feature that really differentiated this house as a modern home. Again, I hate these freaking lights that they use, but whatever. Moving on. See, look, another guest bathroom. They actually have a ton of room. I'm not sure what was here previously, but there's a ton of room here. They might have taken out a linen closet. I'm not sure. If they had extra money to spare, I guess you could have done floating shelves here. It's not really necessary, but just everything that is in here is quality. You see the nice stone here, you see the nice storage, a brand new toilet, and then you have either a new or a reglazed shower. Woo! Something that I do want to give them credit for, they did a fantastic job with accent walls. So if you saw earlier where they had their formal dining room, they had, and it's called board and batten when you just do the regular vertical lines, like square it off. I'm not sure if the name changes when you do designs. That is very trendy right now. And depending on the kind of home buyer you're looking for, that will be something big. I would assume, and I haven't met these people, this is solely on assumption. If you're looking at this house, just based on this picture, something will tell you that this home is going to probably be targeted and most likely be sold to a younger couple. If you can guess it, kudos to you. If not, it's something that comes with experience. And what that is these stairs. Homes that are built to have more mass appeal, you see the door on the ground level, and that's because if you were to grow old in this home, you want to have as few stairs as possible, which in part is why brick ranches are so popular with some of the older communities, because it's very easy to access. As soon as you put something here and it seems small to people whose knees are working well. But as you get older, you wouldn't want this. So when you see a lot of houses advertised like Master on Main, that's telling you, hey, this would be convenient as you grow old. This is a home you can grow old in, and if you have that option, you certainly should do it, but it wouldn't really increase your resale value, particularly in a market like this, if they would have moved down the front door. But it's just something, little details like this you pick up on. What else? Oh, the deck. This is important, and if you've stayed to the end of this video, I think that this is the best display of comps. So when you look at this deck, this picture makes it look nice. When I looked at it, a lot of these boards were rotted out, so I really had to be careful where I put my feet. And so the question becomes, like we talked about, anywhere where there's water, so bedroom, bathrooms, kitchen, laundry rooms, not so much laundry rooms, but the kitchens and the bathrooms, you want to spend more money in those rooms. They will make your sale greater. But if you're looking at the wood on the back of this deck, and like I said, it was in bad condition when I saw it, is that something you fix? The new flipper would say, absolutely, no question, we're going to do a brand new deck. Let me give you a news update. Decks are expensive. Wood right now is expensive because with everybody there's a lot of new builds going on, and with COVID, everyone's sitting around in their house wanting to do renovations. What does that mean? Supply and demand. Because the demand is so high for wood, and in some places, like at Home Depot, I recently saw a 2x4 going for 6 times what I was previously able to purchase it for. So you see that a lot with custom glass and wood right now because there's a lot of new builds, a lot of renovations happening. So, do you always repair the back deck? I would say you should always power wash it if you can. Make it look as nice as possible, but this is somewhere that would be low on your priority list. Especially, you really want to look at the comps, if the comps support that. In this situation, I think these flippers or home renovation, whoever they are, I don't know them, but you take a look at their deck. If you can't see a picture, there's nothing wrong with going and knock on somebody's door and say, hey, listen, I'm a real estate agent, I'm an investor, I'm looking to sell in the area. Would you mind if I checked out your home? Their deck looks fantastic. So, like I said, this picture doesn't display it, but this was rotting when I saw it. You would need to bring it up to at least this standard to expect the same kind of price for the home. So it's nice all over. Oftentimes, and I challenge you to look at this, if you're looking at a new home to purchase, take a look at the deck, particularly if it's from a flipper, because oftentimes this is an area that doesn't get touched, that is an afterthought, because everyone moving in says, oh, plank of wood here, plank of wood there. Decks are one of those projects where you start fixing one thing and then you notice everything wrong. But when you're looking to buy a house, it's something that oftentimes get looked over, both by buyers and by investors slash flippers. The last two pictures. So in here you do something called white boxing, which just basically means you want to take everything off the walls unless it's fantastic shelving, which I don't see here. So you would want to take this off. Depending on the investor, you would or wouldn't want to take that off, but you just want white everywhere. Make that space as big and clean as you possibly can. You don't want tire skid marks on the house you're trying to sell. There are some cracks in this driveway. Again, this is an area that's very expensive to repair and honestly doesn't change the whole house unless there's a huge pothole that takes away from the first time. The curb appeal is the word I was looking for earlier. Unless it takes away from the curb appeal, I wouldn't worry about it. This is the back of the home. The roof looked to be in good condition, and by that I mean nothing was falling through. A power wash would have been nice. But we were looking to do either a white or dark gray. That's coming back in with this wood siding would really look nice. So that's how we comped out, and that's how we were looking at this property. I know this was long-winded, but I'm trying to get more comfortable on camera, to be honest with you. So I just kind of wanted to talk through the mess-ups, through the screw-ups. But I do want to tell you to stay to the end of this video. I now officially have my real estate license, and it's because I've been doing all this work and it made sense financially for me to have my license, because all I had to do was learn how to officially have the paperwork to sell a home. So it was a small thing in terms of that, but a big deal to me. So if you're looking to buy a home, if you're looking to sell a home, or you know somebody who is, what I specialize in is differentiating bumps and bruises from bones. And by that, what I mean is I can help tell you, hey, is there a foundation problem? Is this a load-bearing wall? Versus, hey, we can easily change out this countertop, or you're paying 3 times the amount of this house because they do small finishes like they did such a good job on 2306 Wilderness Way. So that's what I specialize in. As a flipper, I'm able to see what you can get these for at cost, but I also see on the flip side how much extra people are willing to pay for it, and the jobs are typically pretty simple. So if that's something that interests you, I will leave all of my social media information down below, so please give it a watch. Click on it and support me. Find me on LinkedIn, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere you can find me. I'm going to continue putting out content like this, and I will be at auction tomorrow. I am interested to see what 2386 Wilderness Way goes for. We budgeted, I think it was like $233,000 to go to auction with this, but like I said, because there's a title issue of who owns the house, that wasn't something that we were comfortable doing. So, as always, thank you for watching. If you haven't already hit the like and subscribe, that really helps us, and I put a lot of work into these videos, so it would really mean a lot to me if you took the time to like and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified of new content, but also helps us get found and grow a little bigger. So thank you again. I look forward to creating more content, and please send me all of your real estate related questions, or if you're looking to invest with me or know somebody who is, I'd appreciate that recommendation or that phone call as well. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you soon with another video.